You got it. Okay. All right, Rabbi, so you ready? We're live. Good Voch, Rabbi Say. It's Friday afternoon in Chicago. It's a half a tie. It's not a real. It's a Motzi shop. I forgot to bring my ties from Eretz Yisrael. We have to go shopping today. I found a Zenya. It must be like from the collection of 1965 or something. So we are not going to wear it. It was just for the Good Voch, Rabbi Say. Yeah, so Be'ezer Hashem, this will be transmitted in Eretz Yisrael on Motzei Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos in Chicago is a little confusing for me as well. Motzei Shabbos in Chicago at 11:15 p.m. Transmitting live from Chicago, which will be 7:15 in Eretz Yisrael in the morning, Erev Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur in Chicago, 11:15 in the morning. Transmitting once again so that people could see a shir Motzei Yom Kippur in Eretz Yisrael. It's all about the Yomi. We gotta learn every day, give a shir every day. Sometimes it turns out that it's in the morning, sometimes it's in the evening, but it's once a day. Exactly what happens after Yom Kippur, I'm not even sure. We got Rabbi Ari Mack from Passaic. What are you? He's wearing a mask. He thinks that the corona goes through the screen or something. All right, fine. Today's shir sponsor Lili Nishmas Imi Rusbas Mordechai. Or a full shlema for Paul Belitz, Peretz Yisrael Ben Batyo Kela, in a 5-year battle against esophageal cancer. Just underwent another very serious surgery, requesting your tefillas and learning for a full shlema. Sponsored by Yuval Kavosh, in memory of Ferdos Chaya Bat Esther Vechizkiya. It's a 3-day sponsorship. Yishkoich Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef Ben Zev sponsored the food last night, similar to what we have in the Bismerish, kugel, chont, and schnitzel. This is from Mark Ashkenazi. In reverence to Reb Eli for his dedication to his mishpacha of Loim de Daf Yomi and for giving equally captivating shiurim while on the road, which can't be easy. Gemar Chasim Toiven and Good Kiban Shior, Mark Ashkenazi, Yishkoyach Mark. Yishkoyach Uncle Phil for the shir. Yishkoyach. I'm not, listen, it's difficult because I'm like half asleep at night. That one also, Vada. Now listen to this one, a short email. This is by Yossi Sounders. My mother came out of the hospital just before Rosh Hashanah. The sheer sponsorship worked, Baruch Hashem. He sponsored the day of. So what do we have here? It's this one right over here for Paul Belitz. Should have a refuah shlema. We also have some very bad news. One of our Loim de Adaf, one of the people in the mishpacha of the Daf, his name is Ephraim Friedman. He's from Ramat Bet Shemesh. We were saying to him for his wife, Zahava, and unfortunately she was nifteres today. I don't know her name. I know they were saying to him for Zahava Bas Malka Chana. So I don't know what her name right now, but Akash Baruch Hu knows her neshama should have an aliyah. She's very, very young, very, very young Yisayimim, babies, little kids. The Yisayimim should be able to grow up, normally. It's very, very difficult for Yisayimim, so Ephraim should be mischazik and the Yisayimim too. Unbelievable. Okay. It's Torah. We have to be besimcha. We're holding, excuse me, Daf Mem Zayin Amud Beis. All the way in the bottom last line. Today's Daf Mem Ches, Kinyoni Torah. Tani Rebbe Chia, Cherem Shebein Tchumei Shabbos. So now, so if everybody, Stephen, we don't have a guy that's in charge, so everybody has to mute themselves if it's possible. You know what, I'll make this quieter here so it doesn't disturb me as well, and then you guys will be in charge of them. Okay. So, what we have here is, are you able to see these charts from back there? Yeah. So basically, if you look closely, you have two cities, and there's a body of water smack in the middle. And the 2,000 amas reaches midway to the body of water on both directions. Now, water obviously mixes in and everything, and what do? Are you allowed to carry the water on Shabbos? So he says like this: if you put a net, you put a cherem in the water, you divide the water, shebein tchumi Shabbos, tzarech mechitza shel barzel afsikoi. So if you take this metal piece you take a piece of metal, a piece of steel, and you put it right down the center of the body of water, now you can't sit next to people. You have to be very careful because somebody in your class has corona. So you're allowed to come. I let you come, but you can't sit next to other people. You have to try to sit next to the side.
Host key?
No, I don't know the host code. So, if you put a piece of metal, it works. It divides the water equally. Half to this guy, half to that guy, so you can take the water out. Says the Gemara. And by the way, today, we're going to see something very, very interesting, something I'm passionate about. I don't speak too much about it because it's controversial, and that is the derech halimud in today's yeshivas, how they learn. And in our Gemara, it's a very, very important Gemara to remember. It's interesting. Memches Kinyani Torah in Masechtas Eruvin, Daf Memches, teaches us a tremendous insight about how to learn. Again, I'm not saying Daf Yomi is the way to learn. It's great for us Balabatim. But then there's a happy medium because the yeshiva guys, they learn 2-3 daf a year, and that's also extremely disappointing in my opinion. So, we're going to see in a second. Says the Gemara, my time, Mechayich alei Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Rabbi Yosef Chanina laughed. It's a joke. What? You're going to put a piece of metal down the middle of this body of water? It doesn't make any sense. Says the Gemara, let's analyze this. Why is he laughing? My time, why is he making fun? Because we have Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says if a person is sleeping, he's kaina shvisa. And we talked about objects. They're also kaina shvisa. V'yusfir like Rabbanan lekula. Because according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, you could take this out. According to Rabbanan, he holds like Rabbanan that an object doesn't have a shvisa. This is just because he doesn't hold like you, so you're going to make fun of somebody that doesn't hold like you? That's not nice. You don't make fun of people that don't hold like your shita. So what's the reason he made fun of? This we had, and this is agreed upon, that moving objects, moving water, we spoke about moving clouds, moving water, or a spring that moves, anything that moves, anybody that grabs it, he becomes the owner, and that object becomes his object. In other words, wherever he goes, that's where the water could go. It's not limited to the water. It's limited to the person. So wherever he could go, if he can move 2,000 amas, so can the water. So what's the problem over here? This water is moving. So it's moving from side to side. It's in the middle of two properties, and it moves. So wherever you grab the water, you could bring it back into your property. It's not a problem because water doesn't have a tchum. Naharis hamayishim, since they move, it's not a problem. V'dilma b'mechunasim. Maybe we're talking about some sort of well, and the well doesn't move. A lake, even a lake, forget about a well. A well. Even though, that's Yoel. Yoel, please mute yourself. Thank you. So even though a well or a lake is a large body of water, and it actually moves, you have waves, etc., but it's considered non-moving object because it's limited. What? It's not a river, exactly. A river is really moving. This is, yes, it moves here and there, it goes up and down, and the water constantly. Anything, even a lake. Since it has defined mechitzos, So it's not like a cloud that goes from here to there. It travels hundreds of miles. It's not like a river that travels hundreds of miles. It's within a certain defined area. Therefore, it's considered not moving. So maybe you'll tell me that's what we're talking about, right? And that's what it is in the picture. It's a defined area. So let's consider this non-moving, a non-moving object. Hello. So if it's non-moving, why did you make fun of him? Oh, that's very funny. He says you need a metal wall. But you need metal. Reeds are not good. You make it out of something flimsy, it's not good. Because water could go through the reeds. Guess what? You ever try to stop water? Impossible to stop water with metal. Especially, says Rashi, that a mechitza means 10 tfachim. So let's say this pond is 40 tfachim. So you're going to put a mechitza of 10 tfachim in the middle, and the water goes from underneath it? Even if the metal goes all the way to the bottom, you take a nice piece of metal, what are the chances that the water is not going to seep from one side to the other? How difficult is it to contain water? We know. So then, why is he saying, oh, don't use reeds, use metal? That's what's funny about it. You can't stop water. B'dilma, now the Gemara asks a very good kasha. B'dilma tzorach ve'en lo yitakanach kamar. When Rabbi Yossi Rechanina said you need metal, he didn't say if you put a piece of metal it works. He was saying you need something like metal, meaning forget about it. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. That's all he was saying. Since you need metal and it doesn't work, forget about it. You can't carry it from one side to the other. Ella, so why did he make fun? Ella mishum dekalu shekilu chachamim b'mayim kederebi tavlo. Oh, so this is a sugi we had a number of times already in the. Let me just shut this. So we had a sugya, a number of things. Let me remind you. If you have a churva, and the wall down here of the churva breaks, it's a suspended wall, it's standing in mid-air. The halach is it's not considered a wall. I don't know if you could tell really from the picture, but anyway, that's what the picture is meant to be. That the bottom right over here, it's broken, just holding, suspended. It doesn't work. Whereas you have the same idea by water. This we had in Masechta Shabbos. That the wall is suspended. It doesn't go into the lake. It doesn't go into the pond. That wall is considered a wall. We pretend that the wall goes all the way down. This one for sure will remind you. Yeah? You guys see this? A guy could build a box by his window, and then he take the pail and put it through the box. It's considered that his box goes through into the water. It's a mechitza through and through. Why? Special dispensation, special kula that we have by water. The Bible name Rabbi Tavla Mirav, Rabbi Tavla asked Rav, mechitza tluya. What if the mechitza is hanging? In both of these pictures, they're hanging. This is hanging. This is hanging. They're both hanging. Ma'u shetate b'churva, the first case that we showed, the building that's broken. It doesn't work. You cannot consider a wall that's hanging in midair because the stones on the bottom fell out to be a mechitza, but it does work in water. So then why was he laughing? He was laughing because if there's a special kula by water, so what difference does it make if it's made out of steel? What difference does it make if it's made out of reeds? It's a special kula, so you can take paper and put it above the water, and we're going to pretend that it goes into the water. You don't have to make it out of metal to have this special kula. That's why he was laughing. Why did he say? Why did Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chani say, oh, it has to be a mechitza shel barzel, the first words on Daf Mem Ches Amud Aleph. Those words don't make sense. Yes, you can make a mechitza, and yes, the water is going to go from side to side. That's not our issue. It's a special kula, and once it's a special kula, it doesn't matter what material you make it out of. All right. We learned in the Mishnah, let's go back to the Mishnah for a second. On Daf Mem Hey Amud Aleph. Last Mishnah on the bottom. It says like this. Someone who wakes up on Shabbos, realizes he fell asleep, didn't have a chance to make an Erev Tchumim. He's on his way to a city. What should he do? Chachamim say he only has 4 amos. Okay? Why? Because Chachamim hold you need das. You need intent. You can't just say, oh, I made an Erev Tchum while I was shlufen. When you're sleeping, you don't have das. And you weren't kind of shvisa. You didn't reside, you're not residing there because you had no idea that you're alive. Comes Rabbi Yehuda, let's go one line weiter. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, le'eza ruach sheyirtze yelach. He could go in any direction, meaning 4 amas in any direction. So is there a difference between Chachamim who say 4 amas and Rabbi Yehuda who says 4 amas in any direction? What's the difference? Rabbi Yehuda, it seems like they're saying the exact same thing. Omar Rava, shmoina al shmoina ikke benayu. Here. So you have a circle. That's where the guy is. He's in his circle. He has 4 amas in every direction. Well, Chachamim say that the total is 8 because it's 4 amas in any direction. So his box is this entire thing. It's 8 by 8 box. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Pick one direction, one of these arrows, and go with it. You can only go in one direction, 4 amas. That's it. In other words, your box is 4 by 4. That's your box. You just could pick in an 8 by 8 box to which direction you want to take that 4 by 4. But you only have 4 by 4. According to Chachamim, no, you take the entire 4 in every direction. That's your box. Even if you went this way, let's say, you could go back and go this way. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no. If you decide to go this way, now you're stuck between the red and over here. That's it. You could decide. You could also go this way. You go downwards. But once you decide, it's all over. Now, who's this Rabbi Meir? We must say this Rabbi Meir is the Tanakama who argues on Rabbi Yehuda. No, Rabbi Isai, when you have an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, who's the halacha like? Andrew Glatz was listening yesterday. So that's it. So I'm serious. You have to internalize this. Especially in a Mishnah. We decided yesterday the Gemara said, well, maybe the halacha is not like that in a Brisa, only in a Mishnah, but in a Mishnah certainly. But the Gemara said even.
What did Rabbi Yossi say about this?
Mamish listening. He wanted to know what Rabbi Yossi says about this. Does Rabbi Yossi argue? Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Yossi Hirsch from Kensington. It's great to see you. Where are your sons? Don't they also listen? Yeshiva? 5 sons. Bekitzer, the younger one. Be'ezer Hashem. You know what? I'm coming Be'ezer Hashem to New York very shortly, so we'll try to get together. Be'ezer Hashem. Rabbi Isaac Trigger, the whole olam. Can't wait. V'amar Rava. Machloikes lahalech avelataltel divriyakol arba amois in tfeiloi. This is walking, but carrying. We know that in Rosh Hashanah, any Rosh Hashanah, if you're stuck, you can carry 4 amas. So carrying, you're limited to 4 amas. To walk, we have a machlokes that according to Tanakama or Meir, you could walk 8 amas. Where is this even mentioned in the Torah? Kedesanyo shevu ish tachtov. By the man it says, stay beneath you, tachtov. Now, how much does a person take? How much is below a person? Now you have your feet, they're about 1 foot wide. Okay, but there's more than that. What if you lay down on the floor? What area do you take up on the floor when you lay down? Kitachtov, like below you, v'kamatachtov gufo sholish amos. Your body is 3 amos, 6 feet. That's pretty generous. What's very interesting that Taisus says that doesn't even include your head. So it seems like in those days the people were about 7 feet tall. It has all different kashas. A mikvah is 3 amas tall by 1 amma, right? That's a mikvah. So how does a person fit into that? If it's 3 amas tall and it doesn't include your head, how do you fit into a mikvah? So you have to bend down a little bit, bend your head. Okay, great. According to Taisus, this is Taisus. Gufay shalish amas, your body is 3 amas. Va'amo kedei lifsha yodav. When a person gets up in the morning, he starts stretching like this. So you want to give another amma above your head, just so you could stretch out a little bit. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Now I'm looking at the screen. So my elbow is basically by my head, and then because an amma is from your elbow to the tip of your finger. So when you stretch, you're basically going another amma past your head. Okay, so that gives you 4 ammas, and that's basically in the pasuk. Shvu ish tachtav, below you. Below you means a person has 4 ammas. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, so Rabbi Meir says it's 4 ammas. Comes Rabbi Yehuda and says, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, gufay shalish ammas. You have 3 ammas. You have to, you'll sit up, grab something from below your feet. You have a little nash there, a little candy. You want to get up, so you have a little extra, not on top of your head, but below your feet. So how many ammas is that? 4 ammas. So what is the machlokes? Remeir says 4 ammas, and Rabbi Yehuda says 4 ammas. My benayu, iki benayu, arba ammas mitzumtzamais. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's exactly 4 ammas. Whereas according to Remeir, it's slightly more than 4 ammas. That's how Rashi learns it. Rabbi Shai told his son, Ki ailis l'kamei de Rav Papa. I need you to ask Rav Papa a question for me. Boi minei, arba amos she'omru, these 4 ammas that the Torah tells us, ba'amah didei yahavin alei, or ba'amah shel kodesh yahavin alei. In the Beis Hamikdash, they had a standard amma, they had measuring tapes, right? They had a couple of sticks over there. One was 6 tfachim. So we're going to go with the standard measuring tape, 6 tfachim. Or are we going to use every individual's amma? You go from your elbow to the tip of your finger. If you're very tall, you're in the NBA, then you have, we'll call it, 10 tfachim. If you're a short Jew, you have 5 tfachim. Each person, it's based on the size of his hand. Now, this is very interesting. Imam Allah, you probably all remember that story that I said over that my father sent me with a chicken. How could you forget that story? Sent me with the chicken to Reb Nisim Karelitz. And he told me to ask him if the chicken is kosher or not. And then he said, and if he says that it's kosher, I should ask him if it's oy shahir b'chacham. Same thing over here. Depending on what he answers you, I need you to ask him a follow-up question. If he tells you, everybody, there's a standard. Everybody has the same 4 ammas. It's exactly the same. You take a measuring stick that's 6 tfachim long, wide, and you times it by 4. And that's it. That's what you get. Now, Oig Melech HaBashan, otherwise known as Shaquille O'Neal, of our generation. You got a Oig Melech HaBashan. Oig was way larger, but you got a guy that has a 12-inch hand. 12-inch. Right? That's what we decided when we're learning the sugi of the hand. Somebody looked it up on Google, and Shaq has a 12-inch hand and a 22-size shoe. So what's a guy like that going to do with a 4 amma area of a little guy? He can't maneuver. He can't even fit into that box. It doesn't work. So what is he going to say? He's going to say, he might tell you, Rav Papa, no, each individual has their own measuring stick. You take something, you measure from your elbow to the tip of your finger, you times it by 4, and that's your box. So if you're very tall, you get more. If you're very short, you get less, and everything works out. So I want you to ask him, my son. Now it's very interesting. When we were Rosh Hashanah, what was that, 8 days ago? We mamish had HaKadosh Baruch Hu patting us and saying, I'm here with you. Why? We were learning about the brachas of Shemona Esrei on Rosh Hashanah. It was crazy. The whole sugya of Rosh Hashanah, the day before Rosh Hashanah, on Rosh Hashanah, a Mishnah. It wasn't like, it was a Mishnah that talks about Rosh Hashanah, Mizrach Zerevin. I said, I don't think it will ever happen again, such a thing. It's crazy. Okay, so here we have, this is a typical thing. It's nice, it's very nice. We're going to be talking about Yom Kippur. The mention of Yom Kippur, especially in Eretz Yisrael, they're going to be learning this 24 hours before Yom Kippur. We had this earlier, that there are certain shiurim in the Torah that are dependent on the individual. What are they? For instance, you have the kaimitz of the mincha. if you have a bowl of flour for mincha that goes on the mizbeach, the kohen sticks his hand in like this, and he grabs a bunch of flour, and he does 3 fingers, and he goes like this and like this with his pinky. But this amount is based on the kohen. If he's a giant kohen, the mincha is much larger. A tiny little kohen, smaller. Okay, then Ketairis on Yom Kippur, you go like this, 2 hands like this, Yom Kippur. And the famous Malay Lugma of Yom Kippur, that's how much liquid are you chayev on drinking Yom Kippur, is the size of your mouth, what you can fill in your mouth. Well, every person's mouth is different. A 13-year-old's mouth is not as big as a 400-pounder. So Mamela, they have different shiurim. Yom Kippur. So we had to mention Yom Kippur, not like talking about the Shemona Esrei of Rosh Hashanah and what it means and why, and do we say Shechiyanu, unbelievable sugis about Rosh Hashanah on Rosh Hashanah. Fine. But still there's a mention. It's still, maybe in Hilchas patting of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's still a pat. It's not a hug, but it's a pat. Fine. The Shomer HaKol Lefi Mashu Adam. Ki also L'kamei the Rav Papa, Omalei, Idakinon Kula Hai, Lo Have Taninan. Rabbi say, this is it. This is unbelievable. What does Rav Papa tell him? You're asking such deep questions. If you keep on asking questions like this, you'll never be able to learn Torah. Look at Rashi. You're not going to be able to go, oh, if this is the pshat, so what do you do with Tagim el-Chabashan? If this is the pshat, so this l'chayr is a big question on what the yeshiva guys do today. They ask question after question, and they tear apart every single word. So the bottom line is there has to be a happy medium. You can't learn a daf in 20 minutes, and you can't learn a daf in 3 months. That doesn't make sense. We had many, the Rav talks about first you have to learn the whole Torah, then you can go back and go deeper. But here you have this idea. He was asking a very good kasha. Are we going based on your elbow to here? And if yes, what's pshat over here? Oh, no, you're going too much. You're not going to be able to finish the Torah if you ask so many questions. It's very interesting. Lo'ilam ba'amod idei avinalei, says the Gemara, no, it goes, and again, I'm not saying Daf Yomi is the way to learn. It probably isn't. It's great for us. But maybe a daf a day if you learn the entire day, or a daf every 2 days. I'm saying over from G'daylam, I'm not saying the G'daylam from the previous generation couldn't believe what happened, especially in America, became a thing to just mamish learn a daf a month. It's crazy. If you're going to be medayik so much, you're not going to be able to learn Torah. Anyways, it says the Gemara, at the end of the day, we go with each individual. So what are you going to ask me? If each individual has his own amma, so why is it not mentioned in that brayso that talks about the different shiurim? You have a mouthful for Malay Lugma, it goes by each individual. And you know what? To measure your tchum goes by each individual. Says the Gemara, because it couldn't be in there. There's a person who's vertically challenged, and he has very short arms. And his short arms, if you're going to give him 4 times his short arm, he himself won't be able to fit in there, because his arms are disproportionate to his body. So it's not that he has a smaller body that can fit into 4 of his amas, because his hands are so he actually has to go with the amma of the Beis Hamikdash, which is 6 tefachim. So Memela, you can't say a rule. There's a yaitzim and a klal. If you say a rule, every person goes from his elbow to the tip of his finger times 4. It's not true. Somebody who's short, really short, or has short arms, I should say, doesn't go with that rule. Memela can't be in there. Says the Gemara, oh. So, if you remember, we had this case, 3 people sitting next to each other, and they each have 4 amas here. This is better, maybe. Again, I don't know why the yellow. It's very difficult to see the yellow, but you see the blue. And there's a yellow line going down the middle of the blue. Basically, each guy could go halfway into the middle, but they can't go into each other. So this guy who's sitting next to this guy, he could go, they could share, but he cannot go to this side. What does it say in the Mishnah? And he tells him, Reb Shimon says, you know what? It's very similar to this case. Instead of people, you have houses and a chutzner. This chutzner, these guys from this chutzner made an eruv, they put the eruv over here. These guys from this chutzner put their eruv in the center as well. The center could go to both sides. Each side could go to the center, but the side guys cannot come around to each other. Yeah? They don't have an eruv. The two guys on the side don't have an eruv with each other. That's very similar to this case. The two guys on the side cannot share with each other, but they could share with the center guy. Why did he have to tell him, says the Gemara? Why is he bringing more examples here? How you doing, y'all? Everything good? Yeah, great. Okay, good. This is what Reb Shimon told Rabbanan. This case of three people is similar to this case of the chatzeres that are open to the Rishus Harabim. Why is there a machlokes? Why is there a big problem? How come in this case everybody agrees it's okay? Or this case it's a fine, and this case is not good. Why? Why is this not good? Says Gemara, there are many people that live here. If you look over here, each chutzner has at least two houses. In order to have a chutzner, you have to have two houses. So you have a bunch of people sharing everything. And we're concerned that there's going to be confusion. But we have three people, so they know what to do. They're not going to make mistakes. So that's why I brought the case of the houses to ask the question, why is it, when it comes to house, it's a problem, and when it comes to people, it's not a problem. So now the Gemara says the svar that we already mentioned when we learned it. The problem is, ask the Gemara, if I'm going to take an eruv and put it in the center, and I'm going to take an eruv and put it in the center, isn't that what a typical eruv chatzeris is? Every time you have a eruv chatzeris, it means we all gather our food, we put it into one location. Now, how does eruv chatzeris work? Eruv chatzeris is a partnership. We all live in the same chatzer. We all live in the same house, the same chatzer. How? By putting our food, by combining our food, we're together now. So didn't we just combine our food together? It should be a problem. Omar Rav Yehuda. Let's remember this Rav Yehuda, not Rebbe Yehuda. Rav Yehuda, Kigoin Shenosna, right? This is an Amora. Kigoin Shenosna Emtsois Eruva Bezu Ve'eruva Bezu. It's not the pshat that the guys on the side, they brought their food to the center. The opposite. The guy in the middle brought his food to each side. So therefore, they don't share a common ground. If the guys from the side brought it to the center, they share a common ground. That's a perfect eruv chatzeros. That's what eruv chatzeros is. We're all sharing. But over here, no, he's spread out. He lives a little bit on the right and a little bit on the left. So he's dividing the property. So let's remember Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says it's the center guy puts it to the two sides. Rav Sheshis Omar. Afilu teima shenosnu eruv b'emtsois. Right. So if you say, by the way, if you go like Rav Yehuda, that the middle guy brought his eruv to the side, that means that the other guy on the side has no connection to the center. They both don't have a connection to the center. Says the Gemara, Rav Sheshes Omar, afilu teima shenosnu eruv b'emtsois. No, we don't have to change the pshat that we thought to begin with. The guys in the side brought their eruv to the middle. Kigoin shenosnu b'shnei batim. In the center, as you can see from this picture, the center chutzner has two houses. So this guy put his eruv in this house, and this guy put his eruv in the other house. That's problematic. So we just turned to Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg. Schus shidduch for his son. He apologized. He couldn't be here today. He said he has to go make a parnasa living. That's why. I mean, it's a difficult time. 11:15. Shidduch for his son Yitzchak Pesach Yehuda ben Meir Yosef, and by anonymous Hatzloch in Yiddishkeit and a schus for his family to be Torah Yidden. So he puts it in the center, in two different houses, and that doesn't work. Keman, what do you mean it doesn't work? Why not? That's only Beishamai Shita that it doesn't work. The Sayin Chamisha Shagavu is a Eruvin. If 5 people gather the Eruv, Unasnu B'shnei Kalim, and put it into 2 vessels, Beishamai Yomi Eruvin. It's not a good Eruv. No, so what's the problem if it's Beishamai? Obviously, if it's Beishamai, how can we say Pshat according to Beishamai? It doesn't work. Beishamai. We have to go according to Beis Hillel. It is a good Eruv. So according to Beis Hillel, this answer that Rav Sheish just said doesn't work, and we go according to Beis Hillel. Says the Gemara, Afilu Teima Beis Hillel. No, it could go according to Beis Hillel. Ad kan lekamri Beis Hillel hasam el b'shnei kelim b'bayis echad. What does Beis Hillel say? Beis Hillel says, if Reuven takes his Eruv, puts it in the top drawer, in the one house, in the top drawer. Shimon comes and takes his Eruv, puts it in the second drawer, in the same house. Says Beis Hillel, it's a good Eruv. Okay, because they're both in the same house. If they're in the same house, so you accomplish everything. So what if they're not in the same vessel? The two meals are not in the same exact. Doesn't have to be in the same house. We're sharing a house. We're not sharing a kli. Avo b'shnei batim loy. Maybe Beis Hillel agree that if one Reuven puts his Eruv in this house and Shimon puts his Eruv in the second house, that shouldn't work because you're not sharing. Okay, so we have 2 pshatim here. One is Rav Yehuda. Now what? That it's the center guy that put his Eruv to the side. And we have Rav Sheshes. Now what? They put it in the center, but in different houses. Says the Gemara, I have a problem with this. Kasha and the Teretz. Now what? I have a question on both. That they put their Eruvim in 2 different houses. Sorry. What happened? Rav Yehuda says that the middle guy put his Eruv on both sides. Says the Gemara, but that's a problem. Why? If the middle guy put his Eruv over here, so now he's a partner with this guy on the side, the place that he put his Eruv. He's a partner with him. Now he's going to go and put another Eruv on the other side. Now they're partners, they're one. It's considered one property. You hear the kasha? It's a very nice kasha. If the center guy goes to the right and he makes an Eruv, so now he and the right guy are one property. That's what Eruv does. Then this one property goes and takes an Eruv and goes to the guy on the left. So now they're all partners. Why are they not all partners? Isn't the guy in the middle doing the shlichus of the guy on the right? He's his partner. They're buddies now. They're allowed to carry in each other's chatzar because I already made an Eruv. Now I'm going to take that partnership and buy more property. Buy the guy on the left. And now we're all partners. One big happy family. Shlichus avda. That's question number 1. So the Gemara is going to answer on this that he didn't do a shlichus. You see from the fact that the guy on the right didn't want to do it to begin with, you can't force him into it. He didn't want it, so it's not a good shlichus. That's the Gemara's answer. Well, Rav Sheshes kashya, and what did Rav Sheshes say? That no, they both, the guys on the side, they're the ones that made the Eruv, but they made the Eruv in the wrong place. They made it, one guy did it in this house, the other guy did it in the other house. Not a good Eruv. I'll ask you, kashya, if that's the case, so what happens if you have 5 people in one chutzner? 3 people make an Eruv together, and another 2 people make an Eruv together. Is that a good partnership? Absolutely not. No one can carry in that chutzner. Why? Because a partnership means we're together, not divided. You just divided us. You just took 3, and you said, oh, the Hasidim go over here, and the Litvaks go over here. No, that's a pirut. That's separating. That's not putting together. You have to do it all together. Says the Gemara, and therefore what? It should be usher. Now that these guys if the guy on the left puts his Eruv in this house, and the guy on the right puts his Eruv in the other house, then the guy in the center shouldn't even be able to carry. They ruined it for everybody. Let's see inside. Now what?
Well, if they wouldn't have done anything, then it wouldn't be a problem?
No, if they wouldn't have done anything, then the guy in the center at least has an Eruv. He owns his property with his other buddy. He made an Eruv. But they just came in, they ruined it, says the Gemara. Who's chav to who?
You're making a chayiv to the middle guy. They're making it bigger.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't
Oh, maybe the Gemara says something similar to what you're saying in the answer. Similar. Says the Gemara, "V'kivin the erva emtsois ba'de chitzoin avei choda." Fine. Well, Rav Sheshes kashiyot hevi ki chamisha shrim b'chotzer achas. It should be similar to the case of 5 people that share a chotzer, and they all have to make eruv chatzeros in order to carry their own Shabbos. One guy didn't make an eruv. The asri hadadi. In a case where one out of the 5 doesn't make an eruv, then the entire chotzer becomes aser if he's there for Shabbos. So too over here, when the guy on the left puts it in one house and the guy on the right puts it in the other house, it should make it aser. Shouldn't be able to carry at all. It's as if you have somebody in this center that didn't make an eruv. And if he didn't make an eruv, then the guy in the center cannot use his own chotzer. Says the Gemara, none of your questions are good. That what? You're asking me, how come it's not a shliach? That what? I made an eruv to the right. Now we're buddies, and now I'm going to go and make an eruv to the left. So I'm taking his das, my buddy's ratzon, and I'm making an eruv on the left side. Now we're all partners. No. Since the guys on the side didn't make an eruv, it was the guy in the center that's initiating everything. So the guy on the side showed him that he doesn't want to be buddies with the guy on the left.
Why?
Because he didn't do it.
He's just lazy.
So that laziness shows you where he is. You can't just be lazy. It shows you where his head is. His head is not to be friends with that guy. Oh, that's similar to what Yosef was saying. Maybe this is exactly what he was saying, in fact. That the whole concept of an Eruv is to make it better for people, to make it easier for them to carry. So you're asking me that when this guy on the left puts his Eruv in house number 1, and the guy on the right puts the Eruv in house number 2, they should ruin it for the guy in the center. The Eruv is to make it good for everybody, not bad. How can you make it bad? How can you make a chayiv for somebody else? So just ignore them. Or say that their Eruv doesn't work, but it's not going to ruin it for somebody. And the Melo, your kasha doesn't work. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful week if you're in Eretz Yisrael. Have a wonderful Shabbos if you're in America. And there's no Tehillim at night, even though right now it's during the day. There's no Tehillim now. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos, everybody. A Gemar Chasima Toiva, Good Geben Shiar, Psuras Toivais, unbelievable. So when did HaKadosh Baruch Hu decide that Mrs. Friedman should be nifter?
Last year.
No, it wasn't this year, Rosh Hashanah.